Yeah, man. Sadiqa here on time. Look out. I got Coy's in the building. What's going on, Coy? David Jenkins, what's good, fam? I like it. John coming in hot. Coming in hot, Mary. Says we're going to smoke a KC pack. We're going to smoke a KC pack. So good. We got Levi back in the building.
What up, Levi?
He came through for the win last week. We said, hey, if we win, Levi's got to come back. The young Professor O. Okay. Young O is in the building. Hey, man. I get that music out of here. Let's talk some Cowboys football. I'm tired. I don't want to hear no more. Woo! Woo! Hey, now, as we said, young Levi there, bringing the heat for us, man. Got us that big win, 43-3 this week. I got Mendoza's in the building. Jason Chavez is in the building. What's going on? Richardson, as always, what's going on in the building? Give it a like, give it a share. DOL will be along here in a little bit. And we're going to preview. She's behind enemy lines, working there in Kansas City as an anchor, and she's going to be here at about 8:35-ish, probably, give or take. But before she gets here, guys, man, 43-3. Spoonie, what do you talk about Spoonie's minute a little bit last week, guys, and Spoon, you gonna jump in, say something? I can't.
Well, I did say
Oh, okay.
45, right?
Yeah, I was waiting. That's what I was waiting for. I was waiting
said
for that 45.
We got 43. Listen, hell of a game. As we said last week, sometimes we had really no comments. We were all stunned about the Bronco game, but the one thing we all had in common was you can't wake a sleeping giant up. And they were monsters. They was bigger than giant. They was monsters. And from the time the game started to the game ended, it was something. I don't want to spoil it for later on, but I'm gonna tell you this right here. Ladies and gentlemen, Cowboy Nation, Cowboy family, it's not over yet. It's things like that will continue.
Yeah. You got a couple of Spoonie might be a little longer down on Spoonie's minute. We'll wait there and get there. My guy, Patrick Pictures in the middle since prediction Spoonie. Again, he caught the 45 points. Right there.
He was a little bit short. He was right. Man.
Yeah,
and he said it wasn't going to be close, too. He said it wasn't going to be close.
It's true. So, that's very true.
Shouts out to Spoonie.
Yeah. So once again, I mean, I tell you what, the Spoonie minutes have been magical this year. Last year, not so magical. This year, he's had about 3 or 4 of them bad boys that have. We keep that as we have little O in the building with what he brought for us last week. We got the Spoonie's minute that's cooking right now. We got to keep that mojo rolling. We got to keep it rolling. Yeah, that's right, Levi. We got to keep it rolling.
Yes.
You are muted there, Professor O, as well. If you want to unmute yourself. Okay, guys. I mean, let's get to the brass tacks and get that out of the way. Mary, biggest thing that stuck out to you about this game? Anything in general? Just pick one. Go for it.
Ooh, there's so much. The defense. We were worried about how things would look without Randy Gregory because he's been having such an amazing year. Mm-hmm. And the defense really stepped up. They were in Matt Ryan's face all game. Jordan Lewis had his best game, not just of the year, but of his career. The pass breakups, he was all over the place. The interception. Anthony Brown with an amazing bobbled interception. Diggs, after missing a few games or one game, was it 1 or 2? He missed 1 or 2 with getting an interception. He got his back. So the whole secondary whole DBs or CBs got their interceptions. The defense just really, containing some good weapons. Cordell Patterson, he went out early. But Kyle Pitts, we were all really worried about him. And
he had that first drive, and then after that, it was pretty much curtains for him in general. Yeah.
Dorrance Armstrong, block punt,
sack.
that sack. Micah Parsons, he's still been doing his thing as a rookie all over the field. I can't say enough about Dan Quinn's game plan. That game ball was very well deserved.
Indeed. What's going on? Shout out to some other joke. Tom chiming in from Italy. Uber's in the building. Greg Sizemore, I see you. What's good? My guy Kevin jumping in over on YouTube says every hitter's measuring stick keeps getting bigger every week. When you stack up wins, man, that's what happens. Mm-hmm. I think, physicality returned. I think that's a big thing for me. We could call it the blip game or whatever we had against the Broncos. To me, being in the building to watch it, just they were playing fast and furious, and the physicality to me, I think, really stuck out of how they played and the way that they played. Professor asked a great question in our chat group. What was more important? Was it the curse hit on Gage, that first drive that causes the ball to drop and they have to settle for the field goal, or is it Jordan Lewis with the back-to-back on 3rd and 4th down the following drive, getting the pass breakups? And man, I was like, I think it's cursed just because. I think
it's cursed. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was cursed just because, that to settle for 3, they don't get the 7. We go score another touchdown. Now it's 14-3, and I felt like that maybe made them press to go for it on 4th down. If the game's 14-7, they might take the field goal. So, okay, it's 14-10. We're still kind of staying in it. Professor O, you kind of talked about it too because, you were kind of on the idea of what happened with Gage up off of that too as well.
Right, yeah. So Lewis had an incredible game. Kudos to him. That's the best game he's ever played. He had tackles for losses. He had the interception. Mm-hmm. He had the 2 pass deflection or PBUs in a row. I do think it was Jaron Curse, though. Let me put up. I do think it was Jaron Curse. He immediately set the tone. And again, Gage pretty much checked out after that. After that hit, I mean, he was on the field. Like, he didn't leave injured-wise, but, I mean, he didn't really do anything after that. And, again, when you have the Falcons were potentially going to respond right back to our opening drive touchdown with their own to get a pass that would have given them 1st and goal on the 5 and then have it taken away because of the big hit. I think it just kind of set the tone for the physicality we were going to see the rest of the game. So, for me, like you said, I think the defensive physicality – and what stood out to me the most was our tackles. Both of our tackles, Steele and Collins, had a huge bounce back game. So I was happy to see it because honestly, after the week before, I was like, if just one of them can be improved, I'll feel good about it. Yeah. Knowing that we'll have, Tyron Smith coming back soon. But honestly, both of them stepped up and played a great game. So the physicality and the offensive line play in general.
Yeah, and I think, man, it comes to your point was Collins kind of got back to being Collins. Right. Mm-hmm. And they were able to kind of shift whatever help needed to happen over to the other side where Steele was. Because I'll tell you what, Spoonie, that boy Zeke was laying some wood on some of them linebackers, brother. That physicality was everywhere. What did you think about them blocks Zeke was throwing out there this week?
It was one of my favorite plays. It's the little things that show up on the stats he did, tangibles, and that makes everything work. And that blitz pickup was amazing because it was right across from him. He had to go from one side to the other side just for Dak Prescott to connect with his pass. And it was just great. But I want to give it. I have to give a shout out to Professor O and Mendoza every time that we say the word curse, because those are the two individuals that I know for sure they kept on screaming, Jaron Curse, Jaron Curse, Jaron Curse. Excuse me, Curse, and that's Bluff City as well. Those are the three that I know for sure that kept on screaming that in free agency while a lot of us was going towards, I know I did Malik Hooker, but, going for the Simmons, they didn't get franchised. And I'm telling you right now, that play set the tone for the rest of the game. And I love the fact how he knew. He knew. Called the flag. That set the tone. Listen, they just getting started, man. But
and kudos to the coaches for listening to him too, like him to know that, because any kind of delay, that play would have been ran and it would have been too late. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, definitely. I mean, because he was up, he was active, and the team was moving forward to go. They were trying to get the ball off quick. That he was adamant, and they did trust it and get it, and get that done and handled up. And I do like that point because Gage just kind of disappeared the rest of the game, as Matt O was talking about. After those first two drives, the air was out of there. The Cowboys' offense was rolling. And, how much of Michael Gallup being back? We talked about the offensive tackles and what they did. How about Michael Gallup getting back out here, getting CeeDee Lamb into the slot? That spells, and I think this is kind of what Spoonie's alluding to, talking about these scary hours, or we're just getting started, because we're just getting started to see what this offense can even be now with the Gallup coming back into the fold. And now teams have to deal with an Amari Cooper, or more times than not, CeeDee Lamb out of the slot. And it also gives Dak the big body receivers. First game back, what does Michael Gallup do on the sideline? Yeah. You already know what it is. That's what he does. He's the big body as well. For the 3rd and 7 slants and everything, he can just box a guy out, and it gives your quarterback some comfortability. Be able to throw it to a larger target that way. Not that can't just be amazing like he did in the CeeDee Lamb throw in the end zone, because with the pressure unblocked in his face, CeeDee Lamb's not even open, and to throw him open over there was an amazing throw. But again, Michael Gallup being back in this thing, unlocking these weapons a little bit more, because we actually didn't run the ball very well, guys. Right. Overall, but we stayed with it per se. But we were what was it? Averaging 3.5 maybe. Yeah, 3.8 for Pollard on 11 carries, and Zeke was 2.9. On 14 carries, albeit 2 of the touchdowns. He was carrying the ball down the goal line, so there wasn't much yardage to go get. But again, they got over 20 carries combined between the two. They had that balance that we talked about, complementary football, if you will, and make sure it was good and balanced. And man, history, guys, in the entirety of the Cowboys. We know all these great offensive players they've had over the years and great teams. The most points they have ever scored in a single quarter ever was this past Sunday, the second quarter, scoring 29 points. It was mind-boggling to me. I was like, really? All time? And sure, I get it, 29 points is a lot. It's a lot. Don't
Yeah.
get it twisted. But I
Yeah.
was like, I just maybe thought at one point in time, maybe something, because we've been around so long. Like, oh, they've probably done this before, right? No, out of there.
Another thing I want to bring up is Dak's rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
Because he,
Yeah.
because I was watching, I'm like, oh, he's gonna run it. Oh, and then I saw that player there, and I was like, what is he gonna do? Like, you get kind of nervous because you're not sure,
right?
And he lowered his shoulder right into him, and I mean, I think that was a I'm back moment. That was a
Well, that's what he said on the side. That's what he said on the side. He said, I had to remind MFers, we keep it clean here this year. We cussed last year, keeping it clean this year. I had to remind, he said, I had to remind mother effers that, I'm big, we established myself, and,
And I don't think the coaches, they like the energy, but I think they were like, that definitely contributed to them being like, okay, sit down.
All right, It's like, I got myself pulled. Yeah, but that little pit in there and lowering the shoulder, getting in there. And also too, back to, we had a big talk last week, right, about aggressiveness. Are they too aggressive or not? Mike McCarthy's like, oh, word, y'all thought I was too aggressive last week or something. And he didn't care how many points he was. You know what? Go for it. It's fine.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't care. We're just going to roll and go for it. And in my head, as I was at the game, I was like, yeah, Madon's going to love this week.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
We were up by like 26 points or something, and we're like, let's go for 2. We're on the way. Let's go for 2. Like, why not?
Yeah. I was like, word?
Like, yes, every time. So for those in the chat that don't know, Nix and I are like, we don't really care where we're at on the field. We could be on our own 8-yard line. Yeah. As long as it's less than 2 yards, I'm going for it.
Let's go. Yeah.
And once I cross the 50, if it's less than 5 yards, I'm going for it. I don't care.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with that at all.
Kind of felt bad for the kicker because, he gets his first game experience. And, I'm sure he was like, I just got to get that kick out of the way. I just got to get my kick out of the way. And we're like, you're just doing extra point duty today, bro.
Just stick with the extra point. Make sure you keep kicking it to the end zone, and that's all we need from you. Oh, hallelujah! That's all we'll need. We'll need that again this week as well too.
Yes.
Spoon, the aggressiveness. I know you're loving it as well.
Yeah.
Let me see what these safeties, man, in the curse, and we're starting to see. And my guy brought up a little bit earlier. We're starting to see this rotation of Donovan Wilson at free safety, right? Right. And start getting those kind of snaps there. The guy that everyone has said, hey, what's going to happen is he maybe grows into the position. Malik Hooker hasn't quite stepped through the door yet.
Right.
Hasn't quite got the time approved there. But even with that being said, the safety play, and you've always been, I want to bring up Mr. Route guy, Mr. whatever number, and get a safety in here. I do want to get your thoughts as here we are coming off this big win. Here we are, halfway through the season. And the safety play, how are you feeling about the safety play this year, my guy?
Well, it starts from your story of defensively, how you basically want to stop a good offense, and that's through the middle of the defense, linebacker, safety, your interior, and those are the 3 things that we have this year. We have interior guys. They young, they growing in. We got Neville Gallimore back with them. We got linebackers. We got Michael Parsons. We got LVE doing what they need to do up in that middle. And then we got the safety. We have depth at safety. Right. And the rotation today is been very great for us because of their skills, what they can bring to the table. I just never would have imagined Javon Curse. And let's be honest. A lot of us felt that Javon Curse would have been a camp cut. A lot of us picked him to be that when we discussed cut. Again, shout out to Professor O, Mendoza, and Blood, because those 3 during free agency kept on banging the table saying about Javon Curse. And before our eyes, we are saying thank you to the Minnesota Vikings and whatever team he was on before us, because my God, he is balling out. And it's just, last week we talked about Kyle Pitts, his athleticism, 6'5", the things he could do. And we have a 6'5" DB back there who we're not saying the skills like Kyle Pitts, but could do something. And listen, them safeties covering up that middle of the field is definitely making quarterbacks look the other way. And again, that doesn't show up on the stat sheet at all. At the same time, man, it's like it's if you're watching the game and you're seeing what these guys are doing, it's just incredible, man. And
I mean, speaking to your Kyle Pitts, I was gonna say, speaking to your Kyle Pitts point, right? Because I mean, that first drive he had 3 catches for like 52 yards, and then the rest of the game he had 1 catch for 8 yards. So you know, definitely was able to turn that around and do that. And you know, and look, and not only just as we were talking about the safety play right there and whatnot, the corners, right? We had the trifecta, we hit the trifecta. Every corner got an interception. Mary, you
and they weren't easy. They weren't easy.
And Mary, you kind of mentioned it at the top half of the show here once we first got on here. Career game, right? Yeah, career game for Jordan Lewis as a pro. And how he snatched that. Definitely not an easy one. The bobble in and out of Brown's hands, and he get it, and then the digs showing him why he was a 5-star.
Michael Irvin went crazy over that one.
I'm sure. Yeah.
I like the Brown interception the most because it was a comeback route. He read it beautifully. Like if you watch that replay, he breaks on it. There's like 4 or 5 yards of separation when the receiver breaks. It was Olamide Zacchaeus or whatever his name is. And he broke beautifully, got his right hand in there to tip the ball up in the air and was able to come down with it. So to me, that was the most impressive of the 3 just because of the situation. And again, they were on the 32-yard line, I believe. So that was a game-changing interception because that's a potential touchdown scoring drive had we not made that play. But I overall getting 3 interceptions in general is great. Getting them from 3 different players, all at the same position, like that's amazing.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen often. You know, it's just one of those things that doesn't happen often in the NFL. So, you know, at one point during the game, I tweeted, I said, man, last week we said, man, it was Murphy's Law. What can go wrong will go wrong. It was completely opposite this week. Like, whatever could go right for the Cowboys was going right for the Cowboys. One of the big things to me, and see what y'all kind of think on this too, is responses of teams, and that's how, you know, coaches, and we know we got to hear about the monkey butt stuff and all that from McCarthy. But here's the thing: whether it's the watermelon kicks from last year or it's the monkey butt stuff this year, he does seem to have a way of press the button for these guys. Now, Dia Wallace here, bring her on in here, and I know for a fact I should have known that you were going to show up as soon as I started talking about the coaching staff and giving some kudos to Mike McCarthy, because I know how you. Yeah, I knew he was going to show up on me as soon as I started that.
I'm so lit, y'all. I am so turned this week. I just got off the podcast trying to drag some Chiefs fans. They was over there like, so we were going position by position, and they wanted to argue. It's looking better. Man. I don't know what's confident. But like, I'm like, gang, man, Cowboys Nation, they already scared. We're gonna be 50% in the stadium. I'm like, turn up.
Yeah. Facts. Before we get over here, since we got you on here to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs, anything you want to put maybe a little cherry on top here for everybody as we were wrapping up the Falcons and Cowboys 43-3 win this week?
You know, I say it on the late night chat. I love that you guys do that. I feel like I found my people. So shout out to the crew.
Yeah.
For me, I will go and say this. I've said it in the late night chat, but like the Denver Broncos game was the most important game of the season because I think it showed a Super Bowl caliber team just how quickly it can be gone.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I think for them, everybody now wants to argue, oh, the Falcons, you know, they won. First of all, they had won 3 of the last 4. They went down to the Superdome and won. They were coming in there riding high, feeling good about themselves. And I think the Cowboys came out and said, no, we're the better team and we're going to show you. In every phase of the game, we are going to suffocate you and punish you. And that's what I need them to do on Sunday. So I think for me, I think it's a mentality shift. I'm so glad it happened now versus the postseason where it really counts. And so I think for me, the biggest thing about the Falcons game was it showed them and showed everybody this is a good team. And what you saw against the Broncos, that mess ain't happening again. So, yeah.
That part. Anybody else anything want to add on to that before we switch over to these Chiefs?
Yes. Just one thing real quick. One thing really quickly. Was anybody else surprised with Cedric Wilson's snap count? I mean, he had literally 1 snap. It was the gimmick play, especially based on what he had done the last 5 or 6 weeks. Like I felt like he'd played and earned more snaps. It was interesting that Malik Turner was in like the second drive of the game. Because remember, there was the confusion where if he was supposed to go motion and then Collins had a false start anyways. But Malik Turner played like 25 or 26 snaps, and I'm all for rewarding him because he had a phenomenal game against Denver. He was really our MVP of that game. I just thought that was interesting. So I'm curious to see how that plays out in future weeks. Not like a major note, nothing I'm upset about. I just wanted to see if you guys thought that was a little bit odd.
Yeah,
I thought that was all I would say.
Yeah.
You know,
it's back to McCarthy. Consistency, whatever. To a certain extent, because he did bring Collins back a little bit slower, but I think it's because he didn't have Collins last year. He had him for one game this year, as opposed to he had Gallup last year, and he kind of understood what Gallup didn't mean to the offense. And look, and I've said this before, Cedric Wilson, dynamic player for us. I liked him when we drafted him. Injuries were the issue for him. He cleaned those up, and he stepped in and did what he's supposed to do. But he's just not Gallup. And I kind of cautioned Cowboys Nation continuously, who kept trying to ship Gallup off for whatever piece. I'm like, don't do that. He gives us something.
Last week.
Come on now. Yeah. He gives this offense something that we don't have in the other receivers. It's not that he's better than an Amari Cooper or better than a Lamb, but he brings something that we don't have at the wide receiver position, and it's needed.
You got to fill the role that's necessary, right? You got to have those backups, those third, fourth string, right? The ones that you can bring in who can get that big third down for you. I think that, well, we ain't on the Chiefs yet, but they got problems in that area.
Yeah, that part. With that being said, let's go ahead and switch over here to the Chiefs any daggone ways. They came back, the Cowboys, they went in there, they were mad, the whole monkey butt, the whole nine from McCarthy, and they went there, stomped him, and now it's time to go in here to the Lions Den, if you will, the Chiefs cave or whatever, Chiefs kingdom, and kind of come in here with a big stick, right? Don't go tiptoeing.
Yeah.
Go on in there like you mean to be there and handle business. With that being said, Professor, I know you did had maybe some little nuggets you dropped out there. What do you got for the people from your article and whatnot with this game coming up?
Yeah, sure. So jumping right into it, the Chiefs obviously are a pass-heavy team. They're throwing 65%, running 35% of the time. A couple of interesting things that I noticed is they're allowing 9.4 yards per target to tight ends, which is last in the league. So put a little pin on that. It'll be interesting to see if we attack them with Schultz or anybody at the tight end position. Maybe this is McEwen's, like, welcome to the NFL game. He had the reception last week, but interested to see if we attack them with the tight ends. They're historically a cover 2 team, or at least that's what people think, but they're actually playing man top 5 in the NFL right now. They're playing a lot of man coverage. And CeeDee Lamb just so happens to get 18.6 yards per catch, and all 6 of his touchdowns are against man coverage. So go ahead and play man if you want. Let's do that. Let's go ahead and play man against the Cowboys. So I'm interested to see if they do any shifting there. The Cowboys, because Dia was just on a show with Tuck, and the Chiefs fans were trying to say the receiving crew is better than the Cowboys, which they're not.
Stop it.
That's what they were trying to say. Cowboys are number 3 in yards per attempt to wide receivers. That's 9.4 yards per attempt. Chiefs are number 23. Cowboys are 3. Chiefs are 23. And they're getting 7.7 yards per attempt. So I don't know where they're going with that. And again, people talk about Kelsey. Obviously, he's a phenomenal tight end. He deserves all the credit he gets. He plays all over, tight end, wide receiver, H-back, etc. The Chiefs are actually number 10 in yards per attempt to tight ends. The Cowboys are the exact same at 7.9 yards per attempt. So again, kudos to Schultz for that. A couple more things wrapping it up. The Cowboys have been playing 11 personnel 58% of the time. When we do that, we're passing 68% of the time. And Dak has a 110 quarterback rating with 17 touchdowns and 11 personnel. So he's crushing it. But you think, well, maybe you're not running as well in 11 personnel, but that's not true either, because we're averaging 4.8 yards per carry in 11 personnel.
And real quick, just in case people don't understand what 11 personnel is, break that down. Okay, so aside from your 5 offensive linemen, you have a quarterback, so that leaves 5 players left.
So 11 personnel is talking about the number of wide receivers, the number of tight ends and running backs you have. So if you have 11, that means you have 1 back, 1 tight. If you have 12, it means you have 1 back, 2 tights. So that's basically the way it's broken down, and then anybody else is a receiver.
And when you're in that 11, that Michael Gallup effect that we're talking about is what they're trying to get to and what they're trying to eat. And if you go back to Mike McCarthy, especially in Green Bay when they won, it was Donald Driver. It was those kind of guys out there. They were 3 deep and a lot of 11 personnel. Greg Jennings, right? A lot of 11 personnel for them. And Gallup coming back is huge. And that next level, when you were talking about earlier, well, there's another gear this offense can get to now.
Yes.
Go ahead. Go ahead, finish up whatever you got, my guy.
Yeah, no problem.
I love it.
So when we're in 12 personnel, which we're doing 31% of the time, we're running 63% of the time when we're in that personnel and averaging 5 yards per carry. So we're eating when we're in 12 personnel.
Yes.
So then you're thinking, well, if you're running well, you're probably not passing well, but that's not true either because Dak's averaging, he has a 110 quarterback rating in that and is averaging 9.6 yards per attempt. So our man's eating either way. I did have a couple last notes I want to mention. So typically passing the ball is your best bet on first down.
Yes.
Just because of efficiency purposes, defenses are expecting you to run. So if you pass, you have a better chance of picking it up success rate wise. Zeke is averaging 5.1 yards per carry on first down, and Pollard's averaging 4.7 yards per carry on first down. So basically what I'm saying is it doesn't matter what personnel package we're in, we're able to run and pass out of it. It's not that you just succeed passing or just running. And then additionally, we're able to run the ball on a down that historically is tough to run on because teams are expecting it. So all that said, it bodes well for the Cowboys, at least in this matchup.
Professor, I'm gonna need you to email that to me so I can roll that out at the job.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That
Right for Cowboys Wire, USA Today. And I have an article that should be out Thursday, maybe Friday morning at the latest, but it's an in-depth stat breakdown. So I'll go over EPA, DVOA, toxicity, Anya, and a bunch of other stats that I think are relevant. So yeah, I'll definitely send that your way.
That part. Professor O's class is concluded. And what he basically said was, and I'll put a bow on it in some layman's terms, basically said this offense is Tupac Shakur. How do you want it? We're just going to deliver it to you however you feel. If you want to sit back and y'all would say, well, y'all just got to run the ball. Well, dadgummit, we'll run the ball. You want to come up and say, well, we got to take the run away? That's cool, too. We'll throw it over the top. And it goes back to what, Kellen Moore said. We attack whatever they give us aggressively. And that's back to the very top half of that. That's why it's balanced on both ways, where it's 11 or 12, as O was talking about. It's not about them being stuck in a personnel package. It's what personnel package they have out there, but what is the team giving them? And they're adjusting to that. I know it's fresh here in Cowboys land. We haven't had that here. I know it feels different now.
Yeah.
But we we have to understand this is what competent coaching looks like. Broncos games are Broncos games. Don't worry about it. But it's competent coaching is what we're seeing. Soak it in.
Kellen Moore, I think, is just so nimble, right? I think before offensively, the Cowboys would go out there, and even if the package they were running wasn't working, he was committed like a dog with a bone. And so I think for me, to your point, I agree. And I think what you're seeing is an offense that is able to adjust, make the necessary changes. I won't really complain about the Denver game too much, only because, shout out to our team for coming out saying, look, we just got a little arrogant.
Yeah.
Call it what it is.
Yeah.
Call it a thing,
Right.
And so I'm just excited, man. I can't tell you. I got all of this like pent up 4 seasons worth of fandom ready to unleash. And so,
unleash.
Yeah. And one of the viewers was like, Kellen Moore gonna be in his bag. And I'm like, he better be.
Right.
We ready.
Yeah. Big facts. And that kind of gets us into this Chiefs game. Looking at it, and also Spoonie, well, how would you attack? How do you think they're going to go up there? Or what do you think, we talked about them taking what they're going to give and talking about that man defense that Professor O just dropped on us, top 5 man defense, what they're kind of doing as far as percentage of playing that. How you going to roll up there and attack them, Spoon?
The same way you did Atlanta.
Yeah.
The same way. Nothing changes. You look, to any Chiefs fans watching, no disrespect, they have no defense. Being honest, they have no defense. They really don't. That Super Bowl defense is done. This Cowboys offense is elite, so we can score. If any Chiefs fans feels that we can't score like the way they can score in the past, you're sadly mistaken. This Cowboys offense, and I said this last week. Once Michael Gallup came, and we all said this, as a matter of fact, he brings a different dimension to this offense. Right. Shout out to Cedric Wilson. Yes, he filled the role, but he's not Michael Gallup. Michael Gallup's position is crazy. And we saw once he returned to the game, how did I do for CeeDee Lamb in the slot? Unguardable. Right. So it's a lot more explosive plays down the field. As far as defensive side of the ball, like I said, listen, make no mistake about it. The Chiefs have a very good offense. We all know between Mahomes, Kelsey, Hardman, Hill. Watch out for Josh Gordon. We haven't seen him get a little playing time, but Pringle's making some plays for them. They have guys. They do have guys that can score points. But, again, ladies and gentlemen, if anybody want to go back to the tape from the beginning of this season, the Messiah, BJ Nix himself, asked the question. The question that was asked was, what is the Cowboys defense prediction? What's it going to be during the season? Now, of course, we're not just trying to be biased and say, well, top 5. I mean, we said 15.
Yeah. He said if they can be average, then it's game over for the league.
Right.
It's game over for the league.
Professor O behind the numbers here. I mean, is it me or am I seeing top 10? We're seeing top 10. And that's it. And that's according to a lot of numbers being put up by PFF and X, Y, and Z. We're in top 10. Now, again, it's still an improvement, and it's still just, it's crazy how for 1 year, you could go from the last place to where they at right now. And it's basically off of adding rookies on this team, Michael Parsons,
DQ,
right.
Draft well and DQ.
Next man up. The next man up approach has been great with this draft class.
They aren't even at full strength right now.
Right, Mary. That's about to be my point. They're not even at full strength right now, Mary. They're not even. We're getting people back still. You know, which pivots me over to you though, Mary. Spoon says, "Going there, Atlanta game. Let's go. Let's eat. Let's be who we are, and really get after it." Mary, there's a lot of people out here because we was on the Twitter space last night, and some of that post-traumatic Garrett syndrome stuff was creeping in on it a little bit. It was, we got to run the ball, guys, and we got to keep them off the field. And I stopped it. I was like, look, here's my thing. This idea, this isn't 14, this isn't 16. This defense is different now. We don't have to run the ball and keep them off the field all game long. But situationally, you have to be smart about it. In the halves, right? Or end of the game, how we got burnt there. That's how I feel, Mary. Are you a subscriber to we gotta just score one touchdown and score one touchdown every 8 minutes, just keep them off the field the whole time? I don't want no governor on this offense. What do you want?
Absolutely not. Yeah, I mean, we had this conversation yesterday where I said, like, we can't keep this close, and we need to send a message in a hostile environment. We need to start fast and aggressive and punch them in the mouth in their own stadium. Let it start out real loud. They're excited. The momentum, woo!
Yeah, hold on.
And then that first, whether we're on defense or offense, we do something, and then it gets quiet in there, except for Cowboys fans. That's how it needs to be. Like it. This, playing it safe and running the ball, trying to keep them off the field. This defense is super physical, and we need to let them be physical.
That's right.
That's it. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, he's great. Travis Kelce, he's great. Tyreek Hill, they got some weapons.
Yeah, but, they bleed too.
Yeah. I mean, J-Ron Kerr said it earlier in his press conference. He said, we get paid like they do. So.
Yeah. Like facts. I'm like, I don't really understand and I do understand it from certain fan standpoints and stuff like that. But I'm like, you just walked into Tampa, I did the little thing on that too, because there was like, Martin's out. I'm like, man, number 4 lining up? And like, it's not that thing. We're the better team. We have the better for this year. We have the best quarterback in the league through 9 games. He's the best quarterback in the league, period. That's facts. Yeah. You go debate your mama. I don't know what to tell you. The numbers are there. Everything across the board is there. If you like PFF, it's there. If you like just raw numbers, it's there. You like QBR, it's there. You like rating. I mean,
you like the eye test?
Look at it. Yeah,
you like Vegas. You like Vegas. Vegas has him as the second highest odds to win MVP right now.
Right. So
Mahomes is like 8 or 9. I mean, no knock on Mahomes. He's still great. He's just not having quite the same year.
Of course. Do you think we get the aggressive Mike on? Yes.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike's not going to change. He's going to still be aggressive. Yeah.
But we'll talk about it if he doesn't, though. My God, Tuck, for real. Dia, what about you? For us coming in there? What does this team offensive? What do you think the game plan? What do they need to go do in here?
I think I disagree with you guys a little bit, but I agree with Mary also. So I think you have to be aggressive at the line, offensively and defensively. Okay, the Chiefs' run defense ain't the strongest, right? And if you gonna run a 2-back set, you got Pollard, right, running outstanding routes, hitting the gaps, and then you can pound them in the face with Z. I think that opens up your offense a little bit more. I think that takes some of the pressure off of the Dax, the CeeDee Lambs, and it opens you up for the big play. I personally feel like when you talk about our defensive front, I really wish Randy Gregory was in this game. Thankful staying out of the season. But I say all this to say, I think you got to get physical, and I think you have to suck the energy out of the stadium. And so you got to go in there and you got to play your game. I'm not saying that we don't have a potent offense through the air. I think that's proven, but I think you got to win up front in their face, and you cannot play scared. So that's my viewpoint, right? I want Micah Parsons. I want Van Der Esch out there flying all over the field. The Chiefs need to run the ball to win this game. We've seen what happens when they don't have it, right? We've seen what happens when the Chiefs can't get a run game going. I think they're more liable to make those mistakes and open up our secondary to do what they've been doing all season long, create turnovers, make big plays. And so I think you got to get up front in their face and force them to start throwing it. Because Mahomes don't mind throwing the ball.
Oh, that's true.
Interceptions on the season. So my attitude is force them to get uncomfortable, bring the freaking house, and suffocate them defensively. And that's going to suck the energy out of Arrowhead Stadium.
Yeah, and obviously we were talking about that last night. Kansas City, football teams don't like the F word be thrown at them. But to me, they're little finesse, right? Especially kind of like the old Colts team when Peyton Manning, but they're a little finesse. And when you punch a finesse team in the mouth, you kind of see their demeanor change and stuff of that will. And that same thing, going there, and attack them and be physical.
We
just
got
like the
dogs
game
on defense for once.
Yeah. I mean, that's the greatest thing. Just the mindset of the defense, the culture. Dak said it from the very beginning of the year, culture change. And we've just continuously at points where it could have went left a little bit here and there, or we're ready to hear the same rigmarole. You always get like, oh no, you can tell by now that the culture is changing. Whether it be Curse and what he's doing, or Parsons, just the conglomerate of everything. But the culture's definitely changed defensively, no doubt, and it's pretty exciting. Matt, I'll go right ahead and let you jump in on that.
Yeah, I just want to jump in. One thing that I think is so different about this team, as you guys mentioned with Curse and Dorrance Armstrong and some of the guys that have stepped up, is and I don't mean this as a knock on other players, but in the past, it felt like I shouldn't even say it felt like, it was true. Like if Sean Lee was out, our defense crumbled. If Tyron Smith was out, our offensive line crumbled. Like we haven't had that guy or group of guys that are like, hey, I'm not just happy to be here. I actually want to perform and play. Like I want my chance. So like last week, and I know Atlanta's offensive line is not elite or anything like that, but we saw Dorrance Armstrong have a great game. We saw Terrell Basham was in the backfield a lot. He made a lot of plays. We saw Chauncey Golson breaking balls. Like it wasn't like we were like, hey guys, we just don't have Tank and Gregory. We're just not going to get a pass rush today.
Right.
Our guys that we had were like, it's my chance. Let me step up and make my play. I want to earn my check too. I want to make, earn my reputation in the NFL. So it's been cool to see that. And we've seen it across different units, right? Not just the defensive line, not just the secondary, not just linebackers. Like we've seen it across the board. Whoever gets called up, it for the most part is taking reign of it and making the best out of it. So that's been exciting to see. I agree with Dia though. You have to go after Pat Mahomes. You have to bring pressure. If you allow a guy like Tyreek Hill, he's so fast and quick. They call him the cheetah for a reason. Even players who are as fast as him can't keep up with the quickness because he's so fast in and out of breaks. Right. So the longer you allow Pat Mahomes to have him running routes, he's going to get open. Doesn't matter if you have Diggs, Brown, Bossman, Lewis, whoever. He's going to eventually get open. So bring pressure, make him get the ball out of his hands quickly. Their offensive line's not playing well. And I'm not exaggerating. Per PFF, Orlando Brown and Trey Smith have allowed more pressures this year than the entire Cowboys' first 7 offensive linemen. So our top 5 plus our backups combined between those two guys.
Bring the house, baby.
Just bring pressure.
Yes.
Between the two of them, they've allowed 34 hurries, 54 pressures, and 7 sacks. That's more sacks than our entire, again, top 7 linemen combined this year. So bring pressure and get Pat Mahomes uncomfortable. He's a great player. But no quarterback wants to be pressured. Doesn't matter if it's up the middle or outside, but preferably up the middle. So if Osa, who you guys know on this channel is my pet cat, can have a big day and make Pat uncomfortable, it could be, it could be easy money for the defense because you have guys like Parsons with that speed and athleticism that he doesn't even have to be in a pass rushing set. He could be dropping in coverage. Mahomes scrambles and then suddenly he abandons the zone and attacks, and that's how you get interceptions and continue the takeaway train. And we're all about the turnover margin in this channel. Yes. So let's keep it going. If we can win the turnover battle, we'll win this game. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, definitely. We're shooting for that -8 for the seasons where we were at, our +8, excuse me, for us.
Right.
If we were +8 on the turnover margin, we're like, yeah, this team's going to do some damage this year in the league. And boy, we're trending. Oh my goodness, we're trending that direction. And you're right, talking about the middle of the line. Odighizu is going to be, it's going to be a big matchup there in the middle. I will say this though. The offensive line, they got thrown together, this offseason after what happened with the Chiefs and everything last year in the Super Bowl. We kind of know they have been bad, but they have been better recently, though.
Yes.
They're and sometimes the offensive line, it's like a starting five for a basketball team. They got to figure it out, right? They got to, a little bit communication, different things. How does this guy like to move next to me? So even though the numbers are bad, and we've kind of seen the different games that they played up till this year, they are starting to find somewhat of a groove, so you can't go to sleep on that. And again, test it early, right? And that's the best thing about it. The numbers you brought and what Dia just said as well, too. Test it early. Send the house a couple of times to see, are they up for it? Now, you might be able to block up the Raiders and whatever they were trying to do, but can you block our guys up in the same kind of, with different kind of looks and whatnot and different kind of stunts? Because that's another thing. Dan Quinn likes to stunt. He's been running a lot of stunts, and that's been getting home for us because you can run stunts, but you got to have guys to run stunts too. If you understand what I'm saying, you got to be athletic enough, the quickness to get there, and they've been able to do that. So if an offensive line's going to struggle, or if they're struggling with communication, boy, these stunts. Remember, we've seen Doris Armstrong come through the middle on the stunt. We've seen Gregory be able to do that when he was here. We've seen even Parsons stunt and do some things. So I'll be very intrigued, even if they're not blitzing, how much stunting and movement they're doing with the defensive line versus the Kansas City offensive line early on to kind of apply pressure outside of just your traditional, well, we're going to overload blitz this time. We're going to send the A-gap blitz. How much stunning and stuff to give them different looks to make, hey, wait, do I need to pass this guy, not pass this guy? And all of a sudden, Parsons shoots a gap out of nowhere, boom, and there he goes. So, definitely intriguing early on to see how that works and how they try to dial that pressure on Mahomes because, Tyreek Hill, you can only cover him so long. I mean, speed-wise, and they're very, and that's something they've been very good at. I think a lot of people don't talk about a lot. Him and Kelsey both are very good. Once the play breaks down and it gets to backyard football, they have a very good connection with Patrick Mahomes, finding ways to get open once the play breaks down. So that's very key for us of keeping Mahomes in the pocket at times too, to not allow those things to kind of unfold and happen because they'll get big chunk plays like that as well.
Well, and that's one thing.
Sorry, go ahead, Mary.
That's one thing they've been practicing this week is scrambling drills because Patrick Mahomes, that's something he excels at. When he's scrambling, he can find somebody, and once they get that, they're gone. So that's a huge thing. Keeping him in the pocket. If he can't scramble and run around, it's gonna be a long day for him.
Thanks.
So. And, somebody mentioned, how do you stop Tyreek Hill? Ooh, you just stop Mahomes from moving around. Like
it helps. Mary, it helps, right?
that's the first step, number one. Yeah. So, I'm sorry, Professor. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say real quick, when we're talking about generating pressure on Mahomes, we have a very underrated nickelback in terms of blitzing. Jordan Lewis is sneaky good as a pass rusher. We haven't seen it a lot this year just because we haven't really needed to. We've been blitzing, linebackers as needed and even sending safeties. We've seen both Donovan Wilson and Jaron Curse on blitzes. But don't be surprised if you see a nickel blitz at some point. Like, and in my mind, the way I'm drawing it up is maybe if he's on the left side and then you bring Parsons on the right side and try to flush Mahomes either way and have a 4-3-4-4 guy right there waiting for him.
Little wrinkle.
I don't know if we'll see it or not, but that's one way I think we can generate pass rush against this team. Obviously, missing the two outside guys, but we have guys that have stepped up and done, an admirable job for what they, what we expected. I think they're exceeding expectations. So if we can just generate a little bit extra pressure, that's what you do. Because like where Tyreek Hill kills you again is those deep crossing routes. Like you're not going to be able to even we've seen Diggs give up receptions like that this year too, because it's tough to guard anybody for 3.5 seconds in the NFL, much less across 40 yards of field with no help.
Especially as fast as Tyreek.
Yeah, exactly. And Tyreek's the type of guy, he's so shifty. If you are in coverage, you have to make sure that you are sound at tackling, wrap him up and mitigate the damage to just give up 20 yards and don't let him break the tackle and turn it into a 60-yard house call. So I feel like we can get pressure on him. It's just a matter of being smart and strategic on when we blitz, because if you over blitz, obviously he'll just start checking it down to running backs and tight ends and they'll adapt to it. But I feel like if we do it strategically at the right time, we can generate some of those big takeaways.
Okay. I like it. Good breakdown all the way around. Dia, glad you came along here. You're going to get privy to this Spoonie's Minute here in a second. Before we get there, we appreciate you as always for coming through. I ain't going to hold you too long. No, I was going to say, I ain't going to hold you too long. I was just make sure we got 10 more minutes with you.
Yeah.
Okay, bet. Go ahead, Mary.
So the Chiefs had a really good game against the Raiders this week. Yep. They dominated. What is the feeling amongst the team or the fans, or how they feel like this is their momentum shifter?
Yes. Oh yeah. I already know what you're trying to ask. They got high. 3-4 weeks ago, Chiefs fans were blowing up my timeline. They trashed. The season's over. Tyron, get them out of here. And now this week they were like, the last time the Chiefs were 6-4, they went to the Super Bowl and won. I'm like, now to be fair, Cowboys fans do the same thing.
It's true.
Yeah.
But, I think they feel like the team that we saw this past Sunday is the team that they are now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I'm convinced yet. And I think the Chiefs are a good football team. I don't think anybody's going to argue that. But for me, it's the discipline and it's the execution. And so I feel like there have been some cracks in the facade that have been exposed. Chiefs Kingdom, I feel like, is a little nervous, y'all. I ain't been getting nearly as much heat as I thought I was going to get this week, right? So normally you hear it all week. Yak, yak, yak. They about to, we going to smash the Chargers. We going to beat the Ravens, whoever they got up next, right? I think they're a little quiet this week. And regardless of what the record looks like, everybody wants to beat the Cowboys because we're America's team. Today at the press conference, they asked Mahomes, did you grow up a Cows fan? Well, yeah, I'm from Texas. I grew up watching Dez.
Yeah.
I went down memory lane for about 2 minutes. And then he's like, of course I'm a fan, but I won't be a fan this week.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think, I don't want to count the Chiefs out. I think this game, it's interesting how the matchup is going to show up. I think by the end of the first quarter, I'll know who's going to win the game. But for me, I think they are a little more nervous than they want to let on. I think people view this as a must-win game for the Chiefs, not just based on record, but I think on confidence. Because if they lose this game, and then I believe, looking at the schedule, they got the Raiders one more time, which we have the Raiders as well on Thanksgiving. Right. So, I mean, I think now they're like, we got a shot. We can go back. We can go back to the Super Bowl, So I think it's on the Cowboys. I feel like it's a must-win on both sides. 2 first-place divisional teams, not rivals, but obviously both got young quarterbacks, young talent, looking to make a statement. I think the Cowboys got to come in here, and it can't be close. We need to get in here, put our foot on their necks, and then keep ourselves level so that we can roll through the Raiders and the Saints and take our bus to L.A.
Right, no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. I mean, that's why I got the camo on, because it's got to go in there and go to war today. Where they have for. Go ahead, Spoonie.
Yeah, first I want to say, Ms. Deer, your energy is great. I just got to put that out there. I'm going to be hyped for Spoonie just because you right there. So. and the second thing, I want to ask you this. In your opinion, let's say the Cowboys win. Do you feel that there's going to be a power shift from Mahomes to Dak, that now Dak will be recognized as that type of quarterback?
No. And I don't think it has anything to do with talent, right? Let's be 100% take my fandom off the table. Patrick Mahomes has set an incredibly high floor for himself. I said this on Cowboys Fans Only on J-Tuck's pod just a minute ago. Anytime a cat can go out and throw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns and we're like, all right, cool. We got to respect the talent of 15, right? Yeah. I think he is a dynamic player. I think he's a leader. I think he has lifted not only his team, but this entire city. And I had a front row seat to watch it. The guy is great in the community. I think he is a phenomenal player for Kansas City. However, so is Dak Prescott. I'm not that old, bro. I remember Quincy Carter. There was some years. Okay? And so I feel like, for me, people love to hate the Cowboys. And I don't think people would be as big of believers in Mahomes had he not led them to the Super Bowl in back-to-back seasons. So for me, the Cowboys got to exercise these demons, man. We got to get our tails out here, win down the stretch, and make a splash in the postseason for real.
Yeah.
And it's the NFL. Your window is short.
Very.
And so even here in Kansas City, they won't admit it, but until they went to the Super Bowl, every week there's like, oh shoot, we always lose in the playoffs.
Yeah.
We always win the division, but we can't win in the playoffs. You always can't do it until you do.
Right.
So for me, I feel like that's where the fan base is. Patrick Mahomes, I'm sorry, you got to give him his due and you got to give him his credit. I do think in Kansas City, it was a little bit unfair to be talking about a dynasty when this kid been in the league 3-4 seasons. I shouldn't call him a kid. He's a grown man.
Yeah.
But I think that was unfair. I think it put a little too much pressure on him. But, you take a $500 million contract.
Comes
With
with
that money
the check.
from the expectations.
Comes with the check. Yeah.
But I also feel like if Dak Prescott continues to play at the level he's playing at right now, and he at least gets us to the NFC Championship in commanding fashion, I think you're going to have to respect him as a top 5 quarterback in this league. But again, I think the Cowboys, we just got to get the monkey off our back. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the biggest difference. I think if the Cowboys can win in the postseason, beat some of those teams that have haunted us, I think we once again will rise to the summit where we belong.
Yes.
Yeah.
And people will still hate us, but they will have to respect us.
Well, I mean, here's the thing: once that gets clear, I mean, we clear the next, the 6 comes around. In this day and age of social media, you might as well look. What's going to be a bad day for a lot of people?
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't no social media stuff back then. You think it's bad, man? Twitter might shut down. It might just melt. I don't even know. I don't even know.
The receipts that are going to be pulled is going to be like astronomical.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
There's gonna be so many screenshots from 2019
or
whatever year that fans are like, hey, remember when you said that?
Yeah, I'm going to watch it burn. I'm just going to sit there and watch it burn. But, speaking of Patrick Mahomes and the arm talent and everything that he has run, the most important thing he's done for that community is he brought Whataburger there. So, hats off to him getting Whataburger out there, especially for you as a Texas native.
Man.
Now you have Whataburger out there.
You and Jake Tuck been on that train.
Man, his foundation has built all-inclusive parks for kids.
Yeah.
In the heart of the hood, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at the Children's Hospital, it's hard not to like some of the moves that he's making. But again, Z is great for the Dallas community. So is Dak Prescott. Man, when was the last time we had somebody who was a leader on the field, keep his nose clean off the field? You know what I'm saying?
True.
Family ain't on social media. Praise God.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where, I mean, I'm very proud of the Cowboys franchise. I can't tell you the last time I've been proud of the defense. And it does feel different. Yeah. But for me, we have got to show and we got to prove. And I think this is the first game. Not that the others didn't matter, but I think this is a game where people going to have to say, oh, snap. It might be for real this time.
Got you. Yeah. I kind of cautioned everybody last night. I was like, win or lose, I want to win. Don't get me wrong, but it's not the end of the season. To me, I think what it boils down to is I do buy into exercising some demons, but they're postseason. And it's that guy number 12 up there in Green Bay. And it's almost like history repeating itself whenever Favre just couldn't get past the Cowboys in the 90s. And it's almost like, hey, well, now guess what? What number was Favre, by the way?
4.
12?
I will say, though.
What number is Dak, by the way?
Oh,
I will say. Right now,
some symmetry.
Prescott is playing better than Aaron Rodgers.
Oh,
I'll take the argument all day.
Yeah.
Without
the
question.
Challenge, though, is, to me, this Chiefs game is like a Packers light. It ain't about what you think they can do. It's about what they have done in the past. Mm-hmm. So we got to get in here and we got to make a statement. And I think great teams beat good teams.
Yeah.
I don't want a 3-point win. I need at least
10 points.
At least 10.
Come on, Mary. Come on, Mary.
You know what I'm saying? Like, let's not play.
I want to go in and make a statement.
Well, let's spin the wheel then. Who's winning? What's the score? We'll save you that. We'll save the best for last as our guest. Mary, ladies first though, on the cast.
Okay, I gave a prediction yesterday.
Yeah.
And I said 35-21.
The Holy Spirit might have activated. You might need 35-21. Yep. Okay. Sponey.
45-21.
Ooh.
40 burgers.
But okay, Dia. Okay, so I don't know if you know this about Spoonie, but he has been on point with.
He's been on fire this year.
Yes.
That boy been on fire.
Run that back one more time.
45-21.
And he says it's so calm
There's
too.
nothing else with it. It's just the prediction, no justification. He just gives us the numbers because he's like, it's a fact. That's what's gonna happen.
It's just that's what it is. Professor O, what do you got? What are you looking like here?
Like logically, I'm looking at the offenses for both sides. I know our defense has played well, but again, looking at the matchups, I just have this gut feeling this is going to be one of those ridiculous games. Like, I'm not saying it's going to be quite Romo, Peyton Manning 51-48, but I think it's going to be 37-34, maybe 34-31, something like that. It's definitely going to be in the 60s, if I had to guess.
All right. And I've had this game, I think 37-34. Is that what I had it on your podcast, Mary? Was that what was that? Oh, was I 38-31? I've slept since then.
I've been drinking margaritas since then.
Oh, you margarita Mary? All right.
Yes.
Margarita Mary's in the door. I kind of thought you might have been early on because I said, hey, what was the one thing? And you started going to tangent. I said, well, I don't know. I ain't seen her pick up the margarita yet, so she might be all right.
To be fair, Spoonie first though. Spoonie knocked out 15 things in a row, so she was like,
yeah.
I guess that's what we're doing tonight.
Just get it rolling. Thanks. You know what? How about 41-31 Cowboys?
Ooh.
Spoonie's got me up to the 40 burger time. 40, but I don't know about that 21 point thing over there. I'm gonna go 41-31 Cowboys. It gives you the 10-point win.
All right,
Miss Wall.
Woo! I'm gonna be in trouble all week, but we here now.
Yeah.
Cowboys. I think our defense is going to go in and play well.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the difference maker, man. I stand by that. I think it's going to be at least a 10-point difference. A lot of folks think it's going to be a shootout. I don't. I really think the Cowboys have a chance. But again, for me, you got to go in there and you have to show improve. The Chiefs have not consistently shown improved against good teams. And so I think the Raiders, I didn't do a lot of, I didn't do a lot of film study into the Raiders. I'll be the first one to tell you.
Yeah.
A lot of anxiety about this game coming up this week.
Right.
But I think for me, I think the Cowboys are going to go in. I think Dak Prescott, this is going to be the game where you're going to have to respect him.
Okay.
I like it. She said at least 10 points too.
She said 38-28.
Yeah.
38-28. And this is what I said, man, everyone's got this high scoring game. We're going to look at halftime. It's going to be like 13-10.
7-6.
Yeah, 7-6. 10-7. It's the curse. When everyone's like big points, all this is happening, and then halftime's like, oh.
But we like third quarters though.
Right.
And,
we do. Yeah, we explode. Well, apparently we like second quarters now because that's the Falcons. We out there serving some of them wings, some of the Falcon wings out there, lot 10, having a good old time.
This game is personal, y'all. Remember that.
It's
personal.
With that being said,
I think Mahomes wants to show up and show out in front of the team that he's still a fan of. Let's call him.
Of course. Let's be real.
But I really feel like the Cowboys know that the Chiefs have been riding high. They've been a favorite the past few seasons. And I think the Cowboys know we need to put our heads down. We can't let what happened against Denver happen to us. So we need to handle.
Right.
I'm here for it. And the mentality of this team is different, and we kind of, we saw how they walked in against Tampa, and everybody like, okay, they can play with people. And this is kind of the point where you're talking about goes to Kansas City. They all of a sudden, people that didn't think they could play with anyone, like, oh, Dallas can play. Went on the run, laid the egg. Well, how are you going to respond to that egg against the Broncos? You played pretty pissed off and said, hey, get this. I was like, they stepped in. Excuse me, I want to cuss one time tonight. We stepped in this Broncos shit and we're like, oh, well, let me wipe my feet off, and I'm going to use this Falcon down here to wipe my feet off and get on back to business.
Yeah,
and that's what's going to be very, very interesting to me. And Todd, I was actually about to bring that point up. Is that the Vegas side of things? Typically, the home team gets a +3 here and there.
Yeah.
Currently, only 2.5. We'll see how that moves throughout the week and whether Tyron Smith's going to be able to play or not as well.
Oh, not overtime, Brandon.
Please, no. Yeah.
No.
I saw that. I was like,
KC, just interesting spread note. KC is 0-4 against the spread at home. Yeah.
We know. Let's keep it up.
Yeah, let's keep that train moving. Yeah, keep that train moving. With that being said, Mary, you did say, Spoonie, since you're going to Aruba for Thanksgiving, You said he could have an extra minute because you won't be on the cast next week. So tune him up.
Yeah.
Tune my guy
All right.
for 2 minutes.
All right, Spoonie. Let me know when you're ready.
Ladies
Use
and
it
gentlemen.
wisely.
Just a reminder, Spoonie so far has changed the DNA of Terrence Steele. He called him out before the Chargers game, and we saw a brand new player. And then the next week he was like, let me just brush off my shoulders. Anthony Brown, what you got for me? And went on Spoonie, and then Anthony Brown's a completely different player. Spoonie's been crushing it. So
Spoon's out here changing lives.
Whatever he does, like, yeah.
Spoonie,
Let me
your
know
time
when you're ready.
starts.
Now.
All right, you guys. Has anybody seen the movie Halloween? Halloween Kills, the latest Michael Myers movie. Well, in that movie, there was 4 survivors. The 4 survivors they brought back to the film. These 4 survivors, these witnesses, was trying to tell the town about Michael Myers, the monster. They didn't believe him. Cowboy Nation, I'm telling you right now, I am part of the witness. Just like the Messiah B. Nick, just like the First Lady Mariella, just like the Professor O. We witness the monster of the 90s of the Dallas Cowboys. We are telling y'all. We are telling y'all, giving y'all a warning. This is not the same team. This team is built. The energy, the level, the love is from the 90s. And it started off when Dak Prescott went down. You think Dak Prescott went to just go rehab and that was it? No. What Dak did was like Superman or Clark Kent, whatever you want to call him. He went to the solitude. And when the football guys came down and they say, Dak, you are now the chosen one to lift up America's team.
Woo!
Yeah, we was at before in the early 90s. Nobody's going to believe it by game. But eventually they will. I told you guys when we lost the Denver Broncos, I say, thank you, Broncos. You woke up a sleeping giant. You woke a monster. We went our house and clipped them birds from start to finish. Nothing but blood and feathers on that field. Cowboy Nation, I'm telling you guys right now, if you don't believe it, you're not watching right away. One more minute, Mary. One more second.
That was 2.
Yeah, finish
Go
up.
ahead,
Let him go.
Keep it rolling, Spoon.
History tells us, y'all, from us 4 survivors, the lady Mary right here, for 3 years, she had preached on and off about the type of bodies you want on this football team. And what happened? Delivered. The Messiah himself, BJ Nix. I went into the temple of wisdom, his temple, y'all. And he preached about CD Lamb, where we all jumping around, picking Jerry Judy, picking everybody else. When we got CD Lamb that night of draft, some of y'all still don't get it. Last year, the Messiah came out and said, you know what? Why haven't they not talked about Michael Parsons? I think something is there. Nobody believed it. And what happened? We drafted Michael Parsons. Now, the professor, there is no other like Professor O in his classroom. I'm talking about an individual who will not only give you numbers that you may not understand, but he will mix it. He will mix it with the game film. You don't get a half-assed lesson from Professor O. You get a full-time lesson with knowledge and authority to understand the game. How much longer do we got to preach to you guys, y'all? How much longer? We're sitting here and we're talking about the game being close with KC. I'm going to tell you something right now, Cowboy Nation. This game is personal. This game is not a regular game. You think Dak Prescott was not listening to the media all those years, him being compared to quarterbacks who are not in this league? He sees the top name right there. He's saying, y'all, I play for you, you play for me. We're going to go out to KC and take down the leader.
I didn't say 5 minutes. I did not.
It's not going to be no 10-point score game, y'all. It's going to really what we saw in Atlanta. And guess what? We just getting started.
Let the church say amen.
Where the collection plate?
We're passing it around. Passing it around. Oh man, yeah, very special. I knew you was gonna be a little more amped going on here to Kansas City. I knew you was gonna be a little more amped than usual. Man, the chat they loved it as well. Dia, we absolutely appreciate you for coming through and rocking with us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on with you.
By all means, outside of being the news anchor out there, where can the people find you in these old social media streets?
Yeah, you can just follow me at Dia Wall. It's just DIAWALL. I tweet Cowboys every Sunday, even though the people here be salty. But I'm Dia Wall on all the platforms. Really excited and amped for this game. If y'all gonna be in town, hit me up. I'm trying to see as many Cowboys fans as I can on Saturday before the game, since I took the day off, y'all. I'm gonna be in my.
I mean, I don't blame you.
Yeah, you got to.
Girl,
right?
I would have did the same
because I didn't need nothing to go down at Arrowhead. If they get too fly, I can't be held responsible. But if y'all rolling through, yeah, man, 100% KC barbecue. So some of my favorites, even though you're not supposed to say this, you really can't go wrong. The barbecue here is amazing. But if you're coming from Texas, ask for no sauce.
Boom.
Because they like sauce here.
There it is. There it is. Well, round of applause for everybody from Ms. Dia Wall. Thank you so much for joining us. Definitely got to get you back on again some other time. With that being said, y'all know what it is, man. Stargate Podcast. All of our Twitter handles are right there across the bottom. Go follow the gang. Obviously, we're over 10K strong in the group. Come join the group. And, man, get us over 1,000 subs on YouTube. Man, we're out here grinding and struggling. The struggle's real. Just Stargate Podcast. Put the sub button, man. That's all you got to do. We won't have Mary next week. She's got to do some things. But we'll be here rocking with you during the holiday week, covering everything about the Cowboys. We appreciate y'all. Y'all have a wonderful evening.